Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here at 4:30 as we begin a new week. And it has been nearly a week since Governor Evers laid out his budget proposal. Now, both sides of the aisle have dug into their respective positions on state spending, but caught in the middle, the counties of Wisconsin, many of whom have been footing the bill for years for a court system that the state is mandated to fund. And that's where we begin today, using Brown County as an example. Now, you may recall our conversation with Brown County Executive Troy Streckenbach at the end of last year, outlining why it was so important for the state to address this issue. Brown, like other counties around the state, has a backlog of cases due to shortages with judges, assistant district attorneys, public defenders, and interpreters. The county will be breaking ground this year on another new jail pod at the cost of around $15 million to taxpayers to deal with the number of people behind bars due in large part to this backlog. Now, the Wisconsin Counties Association lobbied hard for the governor to include $70 million in the budget to address this underfunded state court system, which has become a financial burden for counties themselves. And we welcome in Troy Streckenbach, obviously the Brown County executive. So going up to our last conversation, the Wisconsin Counties Association wanted that $70 million. Did the governor hit that mark?
He did. As we discussed in the last time we were together, the challenges that not only Brown County are having, but statewide counties subsidizing the state of Wisconsin for the court system. With the request of the Wisconsin Counties Association, Brown County, Waukesha, Outagamie, the list goes on in terms of counties struggling to be able to afford the state's requirement.
Right.
Again, this is the state's responsibility, but here in Brown County, we're subsidizing them.
Of all the parts in his budget proposal that will address these problems, there was one that was specifically for you folks, and that's adding 2 circuit court judges. How long have you been short in that department, and did you expect that the governor would specifically address that need?
One, we're really pleased that the governor recognized the unique challenge that Brown County is facing when we look at the cases that we have backlogged.
Right.
5,000 cases. That's how many people have been waiting for their day in front of the court.
Last time we talked too, just to refresh people's memory, some of those have been waiting over 700 days, and that was when we talked 2 months ago.
Yeah, so 721 days at the time, over 200 people. That's the equivalent of 2 jail pods that we have to operate at about 1.4 million of local tax dollars to fund that jail pod. It needs to be fixed. Brown County taxpayers are subsidizing the state of Wisconsin, and it really needs to be fixed. And it's the system.
Right.
So part of that $70 million is going to help pay for a lot of the costs that the counties throughout the state of Wisconsin are subsidizing. But more importantly, in this budget, with these 2 courts, of course, we need more assistant district attorneys.
Right.
We need more public defenders. The system needs to be fixed.
So let's talk about those particular items there, the public defenders and the ADAs. There were provisions in this proposal to address that, adding 47 assistant district attorneys statewide, turning 29.5 temporary assistant district attorney positions into permanent positions. How long before you know what that trickle down will do for your office, which your district attorney had written in that Wisconsin County summary that he was operating at about 60% of what he should be?
Yeah, so of course, the first battle is to convince the legislature to support this need.
Sure.
And I know that between Waukesha, Outagamie, Brown, we all need those ADAs.
Yeah.
No different than the judges and the ADAs. We have a major problem with public defenders. A lot of times the cases, and when they go before the judge, because we can't get an attorney,
Right.
the case gets kicked back.
And there is funding, again, there's another part of this proposal that is to address public defender funding and the amount of money that they would be paid to hopefully address that issue. Let's go back to the subsidizing. The figure you gave me 2 months ago was $6 million annually. If all this happens, and we'll talk about the lobbying effort in just a second, but if all this happens from the governor, how big of a bite out of that will this take?
It won't be immediate, because the reality is that right now we're operating 2 jail pods at minimum because of what the state has done to Brown County. by not allocating the necessary resources to run the criminal justice system. But over time, that $6 million, in our opinion, would be closely eliminated. Now, you can't just get rid of those. That backlog is going to take time to get through. But maybe in the next 3 years, we probably could be into that $6 million pretty good. That would then be dollars available for us to invest in services to the community. It could be tax relief. It could be a lot of different things. We would love just to be at that position where we could have that conversation.
All right, so the conversations that are going to take place now, and I asked you 2 months ago, have you talked to your local state representatives? Where were they? And there seemed to be a groundswell of support from the local folks. Who is in charge of lobbying now? How much lobbying will Brown County do? Will it be the county's association in order to make sure that whatever budget is finally signed in July, these provisions are included?
On Tuesday, Wednesday, a contingency of Brown County Board Supervisors, myself, will be meeting with our local legislators that represent our area, and we were going to convey to them the importance of these aspects in the governor's budget that we really need them to support and fight for to remain in the budget. And so we would anticipate that all the other counties that are facing similar situations would be doing the same thing that we are. Now, the good thing is down in Madison, this upcoming week, it's the Wisconsin Counties Association's legislative conference. Part of that is, of course, to go out and advocate with your representatives to talk about the importance of funding. This was WCA's #1 issue.
Right.
It was a priority. Now we just need to be able to convince the Republican legislature that this is an important thing for them to fund. For Brown County, the courts, the ADAs, the public defenders, that system-wide funding is really, really critical for us to really address. You know, I don't want to come back to you in a couple of years saying we're building another jail pod because they can't adequately fund us. Brown County taxpayers should be very frustrated with the lack of funding and representation that we're not receiving from the state of Wisconsin when it comes to allocations of resources to run the state's system. And that's the message to Brown County taxpayers. You guys are subsidizing the state of Wisconsin, and we need to change that.
Well, good luck with those efforts. Troy, thanks so much for the update.
Thank you.